This is the international news on Atlantic Television Network. First, the headlines. From Somalia, President says his son didn't flee Turkey. From Gaza, opinion poll shows Palestinian support Hamas reject Abbas. From China, coal mine accident.
With loved ones, a time to give thanks and a time to be a blessing. May your holiday season be filled with joy, laughter, and beautiful moments. From all of us in Morrison Communications Limited, Wish 99.5 FM and Atlantic Television Network, we wish you a Merry Christmas full of amazing experiences. Cheers to a beautiful year end.
From the line across the ocean.
And now the rest of our stories. Somalia's president says his son didn't flee Turkey after he was involved in a fatal highway crash in Istanbul and adds that he has advised his son to go back and present himself to court, which has issued an arrest warrant. President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed said in an interview with press that his 40-year-old son, who was a doctor, stayed at the scene of the crash and remained in Istanbul for several days afterwards. It was an accident. He did not run away. He hired a lawyer for this purpose, the president said, and there was no arrest warrant, so he has a business and he came out of the country. Yunus Amerigosa, a 38-year-old motorcycle courier, died in a hospital December 6 days after he was hit by a car driven by the president's son, Mohammed Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, on a highway in Istanbul. Turkish authorities ordered President's son arrested and barred him from traveling abroad following the motorcyclist's death, but reports say the younger Mohammed had already left Turkey by the time the warrant was issued. He still is linked to the cultural and enabling agenda, said Somalia to be equally generous and move expeditiously. The deal is a significant milestone in Somalia's path to continued recovery and meaningful reform to promote greater stability and economic opportunities for the Somali people, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said. Ali Yassin Sheikh, Deputy Governor of Somalia International Financial Markets. He warned, however, that it is crucial to ensure that measures are put in place to prevent Somalia from slipping back into high debt again. Somalia remains one of the world's poorest countries, beset mostly by security challenges stemming from years of unrest. A military court in Tunisia convicted a prominent opposition activist of undermining state security and gave her a one-year suspended prison sentence Wednesday, according to a defense lawyer. The lawyer representing Chama Issa denounced the verdict but expressed satisfaction that she would remain free and plans to appeal. Chama Issa should have been acquitted because all she did was to peacefully use her rights to freedom of expression, Attorney Samir Dolu told press. Public prosecutors began investigating Issa, a leader in a coalition of parties opposed to President Kais Saied, after she criticized authorities on Tunisia's most prominent radio station in February. She was jailed from that month to July. According to her lawyer, Issa was charged with spreading fake news and accused of trying to incite the military to disobey orders and undermine public security as part of an alleged plot hatched after she met with foreign diplomats and other opposition figures. She criticized the charges as politically motivated before walking into the military court hearing on Tuesday. After the military court rendered its decision Wednesday, human rights group Amnesty International urged Tunisian authorities to quash this outrageous conviction immediately. Issa, much like dozens of other critics who are being judicially harassed or arbitrarily detained for months, is guilty of nothing more than questioning the decisions made by a government that from the outset has demonstrated an unwillingness to tolerate any form of dissent, the group said in a statement. Two missiles fired from territory held by Yemen's Houthi rebels missed the commercial tanker near the key Bab el-Mandeb Strait on Wednesday, a U.S. official said. An American warship also shot down a suspected Houthi drone flying in its direction during the incident, said the official, who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss intelligence matters. No one was hurt in the attack, the official said. The ship that was targeted, the oil and chemical tanker Marshall Islands flagged Ardmore Encounter, was traveling north towards the Suez Canal and the Red Sea, satellite tracking data analyzed by the Associated Press showed. The vessel had been coming from India and had an armed security crew aboard it, according to data transmitted by the ship. The Houthis did not immediately acknowledge the attack. At least 7 Palestinians were killed and a dozen were arrested during a 2-day Israeli raid in the north and west bank. The Israeli military said Wednesday that troops operating in the Jenin refugee camp seized weapons, ammunition and explosive, and uncovered tunnel shafts, observation posts, and 6 explosive laboratories. The Palestinian Health Ministry said 7 Palestinians were killed in Jenin on Tuesday. The dense urban refugee camp has long been a stronghold for Palestinian militants. Israeli forces have carried out frequent raids over the past 2 years that have often set off gun battles with Palestinian fighters. Israel seized the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza in the 1967 Mideast War, and the Palestinians want all 3 territories for their future state. Over 270 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank since the start of the Israel-Hamas war, according to the Health Ministry. Clashes on Lebanon's southern border against the backdrop of the Israel-Hamas war have exacerbated an education crisis in the small Mediterranean country that has been in the throes of a major economic meltdown for the past 4 years, UNICEF said Wednesday. A survey of Lebanese as well as Syrian and Palestinian refugee households living in Lebanon conducted by the UN agency in November found that 26% of households had school-aged children who were not attending school, up from 18% in April. Syrians reported the highest prevalence of children out of school at 52% of households, followed by Lebanese at 13% and Palestinian at 7%. While the cost of education materials was the most cited reason, UNICEF said, thousands of children were also out of education due to disruptions related to ongoing fighting on the border between Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israeli forces. The clashes have killed about 130 people in Lebanon, including 17 civilians, according to a tally by press, and have displaced nearly 59,000, according to the International Organization for Migration. A wartime opinion poll among Palestinians published Wednesday shows a rising support for Hamas, which appears to have ticked up, with nearly 90% saying he must resign. The findings by Palestinian pollsters signal more difficulties ahead for the Biden administration post-war vision for Gaza and raise questions about Israel's stated goal of ending Hamas military and governing capabilities. Washington has called for the West Bank-based Palestinian Authority, currently led by Abbas, to eventually assume control of Gaza. Palestinians have not held elections since 2006, when Hamas won a parliamentary majority. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who leads the most right-wing government in Israel's history, has soundly rejected any role for the PA in Gaza and insists Israel must retain open-ended security control there. Arab allies of the U.S. have said they would only get involved in post-war reconstruction if there is a credible push towards a two-state solution, which is unlikely under the Netanyahu government dominated by opponents of Palestinian statehood. Which survey results indicate are not legally binding, but the message in favor of ending the Israel-Hamas war serves as an important barometer of world opinion. Just hours before the vote, U.S. President Joe Biden warned that Israel was losing international support because of its indiscriminate bombing of Gaza. The Israel-Hamas war has resulted in the deaths of over 18,400 Palestinians, according to the Health Ministry in the Hamas-controlled territory,